Yeah, we're live.
Are we live now?
Yeah, we're live.
Welcome to the Dream Show Live. Stephen Eakin, that's me. Isaac Stackhouse, that's him. He's actually got on a
Yeah,
T-shirt
I'm here. Oh,
for himself.
these.
It's kind of who he is too.
They're actually for sale.
He grabbed that shirt's for sale.
Yeah.
The one he's got on, you
Sure.
can buy it too.
Oh, you can buy it off my back.
You can. I mean, but then he'd be not having a shirt on. So please just tell him to keep it on until later. But you can get him on his website. Is it thewonderinggrappler.com?
Yep, it's scrolling across the bottom.
See, it's technology. That's how it works. You can just put stuff in people's face and they can be
I
like,
didn't mean to say till Friday, but yeah, they're available all times at thewonderinggrappler.com.
Until Friday. That's it. After Friday, you can't get the ones
Then they
that are-
become non-fungible.
Yeah, exactly. You got to just token them around. So
Parkway Automotive Studios.
that's where we are. Parkway Automotive Studios. You got to come down here, check them out, see if there is a vehicle that you need to jump in and drive around that will be better for you and yours. They got a few things to choose from. My man Cody, he's good at what he does. He'll hook you up, take care of you. Come on over here. And then also 678-226-1994. That's the Must Grow Trial Firm. It's the best in the business. You just got to call them and chat and see what's going on, see what they can help you with, see if you can help them with anything. You know, just become buddies with Buddy.
Call Buddy.
Call your buddy, Buddy. That's the way to do it.
What's happening in your world, Steven?
Mad confusion, yo. Mad confusion. We are like in the middle, I guess. This is the middle. We're maybe close to the middle of this move situation.
I think you're like three quarters. I'm
So,
a half
yeah.
glass. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. Ooh.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I feel like we may be over the hump to the most part, but there's just still a few things that's got to be done to make it like good enough for me to be like settled on it being open. Cause like that's the thing. There's most of it, I guess I would say. We're probably over 50% totally done, but I still think that there's a few things that have to be done that are going to be, I'm probably going to be very specific about. So that may take a little time.
Yeah,
to
like
put,
getting the particular things together.
Yeah, just exactly how I want the mats or the wall mats or the whatever kind of things like that. We got to hang up all the art and everything like that. We got a lot of it done though, for sure. And man, I'm happy because one of the bigger risky or whatever kind of things I did and cost the most looked the way I hoped that it would look. So I think it's a good move to have done it now because we would have done it before or after. I mean to say, so really, really stoked.
Yeah, like doing anything after is usually.
And so that's kind of what we were looking at this morning. We were out there cleaning up a little bit and trying to see final plans. Like the mats should be in today, I guess. They made it to Macon finally from wherever they started in Wisconsin, I guess last week. So they should be there today. So we needed to get as much of it like cleaned up as we could to get the rest of the mats in there. And then as we were trying to get it cleaned up, we noticed that a couple of the like boards that were the border or whatever were kind of old and needed to be replaced. So we started pulling up some of those, and then we realized there's just, a couple more things that needed to kind of be done around there in that way. Maybe not, using the border that was there exactly. We weren't going to use the exact border anyway, but now that we pulled the whole thing up, we kind of got free opportunity to kind of play with it a bit, I guess I would say.
So what was your what's your biggest lesson that you've learned in this move so far? Because I know you're in the midst of it, so like some of it you might not even realize.
Oh man, for sure. It's just right now the biggest lesson is just being consistent in everything and trying to again form the right series of jobs or whatever it is getting done on time, whatever the right ones are in order. That way you're not working on top of things or then doing things 2 or 3 times because you wanted to do something and then the next thing that you do actually takes away from what you had already, just kind of stuff like that. So we've trying to figure out that for myself. Again, I'm not really a construction guy in that way, but I'm trying to get the vision down. But the abstract is really hard for me. So I need to get like in there and have those mats and like that's what I'm saying. So for me, I just kind of needed to be ready.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing is like I realized that I'm not, dude. I'm more of the worker ant when it comes to the stuff like that, construction and building and that kind of thing. I think I'd rather have a real project manager kind of person around than they dictate what was going on and let me like help do whatever I got to do. Cause I don't mind doing like physical labor stuff or whatever. I think that's, but like I said, I think that's what I will be better at, probably at parts of what we're doing.
You like to get pointed in a direction.
Yeah, for sure,
like,
man. I'm a good,
here. And then you're like, oh, it'll be done
I'm
to
a
the
good
highest
soldier.
of the
Right,
ability.
exactly.
Yeah,
I'll go all the way with whatever you tell me needs to be done.
That's
and I could operate and see. I feel like I operate pretty good outside of the parameters. Just you know what I mean. Like if it's like something needs to be done, and then there's this weird thing that well, what about this all of a sudden? I don't need to go back a lot of times and get more. It's like I could probably work around that and figure out an answer to whatever the thing is. I guess sort of.
Right. Well,
if that person lets me have that kind of freedom and it's my space.
Right.
So typically right now that's if I have the opportunity to think and not keeping told too much, then I can kind of work it out. But also when hearing people say stuff was like, you know, who has the experience in this thing that we're doing?
Right.
All right. Well, you've done more of this than I have. So it sounds like I'd rather follow your lead on this thing more or less. Cause like, I don't really know everything. You know, some of the stuff I say may not be the easiest or the right way to do it. And so somebody that knows a better way in this would be, step in and tell me I'm wrong. Like I've said that too. Is like, listen, if you hear me saying something and you know better, like tell me and like explain to me that this is better and why. And like, we'll probably do what you say, but don't like be frustrated with me if I come up with this crazy idea and you really know a better way.
Right.
And you didn't tell me because I don't know. I'm just coming up with what I think works.
So that's the team thing, like knowing who you have underneath you and kind of having that relationship and being able to like cross pollinate and like come back and go like, you know, when they say something like they know that you'll like listen and it's not going to just get shot down. I'm like, no, this is the way. Like,
yeah. And that's what I need, right? All the way around. That's the kind of thing that we've been trying to do. So thankfully we do have enough people offering help. And so I guess the biggest thing I've learned is that even whatever, it's still really hard with all the help that people offer you to find something for everybody to do in a way.
That's
because it just kind of comes in a rush. And then there's like this nothing for a second. And then I got to go in and get the next part of the plan. You know what I mean? Like, well, we had to wait for it to get painted. Well, it took a couple of extra days for all the paint to get in and to get dry and everything, et cetera, et cetera. So that kicked off my other timeline of stuff a little bit. And so then that pushed us from where people that wanted to help, we're going to have to help during the week. Well, most of our people are working during the daytime, and then they would want to help at the normal time they could kind of train in the evening or afternoon, you know? Well, a few of us had already kind of been working during the daytime, cleaning up some stuff. And I had some people there that were cleaning up or doing whatever when I wasn't there. So I didn't know exactly what was and wasn't done. By the time someone else would come up and be like, hey, what can I do, man? And what can I do to help? It's like, I don't know, you know?
Well, and that's what I've always noticed,
tough.
Like on big projects. So it's like when I used to work on storms, when we would go in and like be on a line crew and like, we'd have to go down and, you know, you'd have 100, 200 different line crews from different companies, like all like trying to work on the same system. And the places like I worked for a municipality. And so like municipalities are notorious for the fact that like they all do it their own way. And so you go into every different system and they've got different names for everything. They've got different systems and all that. And you have to sit there and relearn that in a night before you go spend a week working 17-hour days trying to put it back together. The places that I've been familiar with, like the IOUs, or which are usually union, or like the co-ops, like the co-ops have everything's the same. Like when you learn at your job what this is, like some of the tools may have different names, but when you get there, you know that pole is built exactly this way. And you can just, if you've memorized the book, you can run up that pole and go build it exactly the same as all the other 200 guys will. So like the easiest thing for projects is when people have the like framework to just go, that's not been done, I'll go do that. And then
Mhm.
you don't have to sit there and pull the levers and do the.
Well,
Don't pay
there's not
attention to the man behind the curtain.
there's
Yeah.
not we don't have keys for everybody.
No,
And
yeah, yeah.
so that's what I'm saying. They want to be there when I'm there. Well, I have to pick up my kids, and then Charlie, Charlie got gymnastics still. And,
Oh
the
yeah.
real life is still happening all around this. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. And so for everybody that's trying to help, I promise I'm not trying to like not give you something to do. It's just timing.
Oh yeah.
At certain things, and we're at the point now. There's some like David, Zach, and Jay are up there right now trying to finish off the last little bit of like whatever kind of cleaning ish that we could do before we do the final, whatever before we put the mats and stuff down, I guess.
That's what Jason said. That we threw everybody off by starting at 10. We forgot the ish. But
still 10ish, man. Hey, listen.
That's the it. That is the ish.
This is the thing. When the other things are going on, super pressing, I had to get here on time, make sure I was ready to get it done, and be on the way back to other stuff. Because we still got to finish up now redoing the other gym by tomorrow afternoon, like for the checkout of it too. So
yeah, that viral video of Kevin putting his head through the wall definitely put its damages in.
There's definitely some sheetrock damage in there. So I have to go back in and do some patching.
That's another interesting lesson in the jiu-jitsu world, though, because how many jiu-jitsu gyms do you know that are opening up and that have opened up and they're in like those type of locations? If you're opening up a gym, I've never really thought the sheetrock problem through, but it's like almost like the 10th planet where everybody ends up in warehouses. That seems to be the move of like some sort of a big spot or like
it helps, and you just not always have that. You don't always have the availability,
or you just don't have a
warehouse.
wall.
That's what I mean. So like, if you don't have it, then it's not a problem. But we had to go there where it was at, and then that's typically the case for most people. They kind of go where they can afford to get started, and then you would grow into one of those industrial kind of warehouse spaces and stuff like that over time, which is what we kind of did, but I didn't realize how big
100%.
it was going to be.
5,000 square feet's a lot of square
feet. It's
a
big jump, big jump. And it was unexpected in that way. Like, if we wanted to kind of do stuff and we had thought about it and had some plans for later in the year, maybe. And then it just got thrown like, hey, you could do this right now. And it's like, oh, snap. We weren't quite prepared to do it, but it's either do it or do not it.
Yeah.
And so it was like, hey, it's on, and so we're doing everything that we can to get it ready for our current member base to be able to return. And then we'll keep working on cosmetics and making it more pretty and tightening up everything that we need to tighten up on everything over the next little while, because I'm crazy because I'm crazy. That's why, because April 9th weekend has turned into a thing. It's a thing now. We've got the Mid-South 185s coming in. We got 9 or so really tough names already down for that one. So we're looking for some more tough names to come in. Any 185ers and under. I mean, we'll let smaller guys jump in if you want to. We've had a few ask, but just make sure your coach is cool.
Well, and understand what you're jumping into. Like,
it's deep, that these guys are going to be coming to win or whatever. And so just know whatever it is, it's fine. That you want to come and compete and test yourself. That's great. That's what we want. But at the same time, just know it's going to be really hard for everybody. And that's the cool part about the competition. There's $2,000 going to go out to the winner. We have a nice prize that will also be going home with them that is not cash related, that I'm not going to reveal until we get there. So it's going to be really hyped. And then we have, I don't know what order this is all going to go in necessarily, but we have RC Hagens.
Yeah, RC Hagens
is going to come in and do a little, or maybe bigger, medium, whatever-ish.
Oh, he doesn't do nothing.
That's what I was going to say. When I said that, I paused to reboot. He's going to do an art exhibit.
Art installment.
There we go. I couldn't think of the right word. That's why I kept saying other things. It's going to come. An installment there. And so he'll have some of his work out. If you guys remember when we did the Dream Show live on location from the random house in Opelika last year, it was his house. So I got to see some of his stuff, just kind of walking through, and I was really blown away with it and
Yeah.
from it.
Yeah. Yeah. His art is some of my favorite. And
It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. The way he thinks about it and the way like he has kind of that like Andy Warhol kind of feel. And it's just
is it at RCHAGANS on Instagram, right?
I believe so.
I think it's just that on Instagram. So
Yeah.
you can look it up. Some of that's on there. He's gonna bring some over. You can purchase some. Obviously, that'll be kind of what we're hoping for, is that he can get a little bit of sales from some of his art. But like I said, it's gonna be really cool stuff. That some of it I wanted to get, but I haven't seen again and haven't thought about it. So maybe
have you seen his functional artwork?
No, I don't think
so. He has functional home defense artwork that he does, and they're like baseball bats that he collects. And then there's all kinds of different designs and trash and stuff that he's like, because he takes like trash off the side of the road and just like, that's one of my favorite things. I made a film with him up in New York, pulling trash off the street and throwing it in the back of a van and then taking it to his homie's studio, and he'd turn it into art. And then like he's got a couple places that he had installments there.
Oh, crazy.
So like this is what he does. Like he's the first person I ever met that was, no, I'm an artist. Like that's all I do. And like this dude cranks out. I couldn't even tell you the number, but every time I walk in, he's making something else. Like I walked up last night and he was like making a little piece of art while he was waiting on me to come over and hang out and like chat about all this. So like, dude is about the craft.
That's pretty sick, man.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that, to bring like that into the gym atmosphere or the training room atmosphere or whatever it is. The art side of it even further, if you would, in a lot of ways.
Well, he and I've always wanted.
Because he's
a
purple belt, right? You said
he's a purple belt, but he's been training since my original coach, Andy Roberts. Like they trained together back when Andy first started, and then he wrestled in him and his brothers.
Just been into the grappling arts for a long time.
Yeah,
so
him and his brothers have been wrestlers since they were kids.
So it'll be really cool to have these couple of things butted up against each other in some way, for the art. Really, for lack of any other term whatsoever, like it's truly just the art that's going to be brought in, and it's by a grappler who kind of gets it, at least from my perspective, things that I think are really cool and like interesting or whatever. So if you think things that I think are cool sometimes are cool, then you'll probably think his stuff's cool. You know what I mean? It's like but it's really like art stuff.
I buy his art for my family, like for Christmas and stuff, and for my friends.
Man.
Like it's some of my.
There's all kind of weird stuff. That's it's like the ones that caught my eye was some of the like the space theme, the astronaut theme stuff, because I thought that would be stuff that would work well for our gym kind of vibe in some ways. So some of that, and then a lot of the other stuff, kind of like you mentioned, and then like weird like portraits of things, and then like I like the one sometimes where he paints over the like art that you would get from stores back in the 80s or whatever, or something like that.
That's his favorite. Like all of his art is painted on either found trash or artwork from like previous made artwork from thrift stores.
So I think some of that stuff, like I see it sometimes when he posts it or whatever, it's like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to have that come in and be a part of it all. And then the next day we're gonna have Richie and Gio Martinez over for a Freak Brothers seminar on the Sunday. So that'll be $150 for non-members and then $125 for our members. And I think we may be actually over the number of the ones that I said for $150 or whatever, and it could be $175. But if y'all hit us up, we'll probably let a couple more people pay $150 because I don't really care that much.
And it turns out we've got a big space now.
We got a little bit more. That's what I'm saying. We have a little bit more space, and it's not really like a cash grab in that way. We want to pay the bills, obviously, but we want to have a full room and be hyped up about it all or whatever. So just hit us up and let us know.
Are they going to be teaching together? Because isn't like them teaching, they do kind of like a duo thing, or are they going to do like a split, like Gio then Richie or Richie then Gio?
I don't know exactly the way that it goes per se, but it is together, but I think it's still separate stuff.
Like he teaches his stuff and then I teach my stuff.
But it's the same, but they intro together and break, and break together or whatever at the end.
I'm excited about it.
Because you get the story to get. That's what I'm saying. You get like it's like another performance basically, because you get to hear the story where one will kick to the other. It's like it's my perspective or whatever, and then he's like Gio, and then Gio will talk about some stuff, and then Boogie will talk about his stuff a little bit, and then Gio do,
because they started at the exact same time, didn't they?
almost
Or roughly,
yeah,
like,
right around. Like I can't remember what the story is exactly on that.
we'll have to get them in here to
So
tell their story.
that's what I'm saying. They'll be here to tell it for sure on Sunday, April the 10th, on our Arts Fest weekend.
Arts Fest. Oh yeah, did we mention too that like there's going to be an art show before or after? It's probably I think after, because art shows take place in the evening.
Okay,
So like
I did say that.
Yeah,
that's what we just talked about.
Did we? All right, we already talked about the fact that it's gonna
be an art show.
Yeah. Separate.
We didn't know
just the
exactly
mix-up.
how it was going to be, but that it was going to go down that way.
I just make sure we covered.
Probably after.
Yeah.
Probably do our normal Mid-South thing and then put on the thing in the afternoon, evening.
Woohoo.
And
the 10th Planet Art Fest.
It's gonna be cool. Arts Fest. The reason I said Arts Fest is because, and people from my hometown, if anybody was watching it, but man, it's like that's what they used to call the little downtown thing, the Riverside Arts Fest. So it's just what popped into my head.
Doesn't every little town have like an art fest?
They should.
They should definitely.
Yeah, they should.
The arts. I like when a town
matters.
Fosters the arts.
It matters, and it helps in a lot of different ways to be able to do something, like to craft something or to make something that's yours. That's like your own thing, your own idea.
Yeah. That's like a side note. I was listening to a podcast yesterday on the way here that they were talking about NFTs, like that bridge. They were talking about NFTs, and they were saying that like the point that we're at in the arts with all that is that if you look back on the Renaissance, there was a way for, and I can't remember exactly how it all played out, but like right before the Renaissance happened, there was a way for the like super wealthy or like mid-range wealthy to like invest in the arts. They had like created the ability of a market and trying to do all that. And that's what
it was a flex.
That's what fueled the Renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
And so like they're talking about the fact that it's like, man, we're on the edge of a Renaissance, like of being able to pay artists and do things in that way that we've never been able to. Interesting side thought.
No, in that way, that part of it is really, really cool. And I've read about that. And that's what it was. It was basically just like all these rich dukes and shit were all trying to flex on each other. And so they would try to get the best artists to come live with them, and they'd put them up, and
he would just their castles, he would just paint their cathedrals,
so they could go take it and flex on the homies or whatever. It's like having the best lawn or whatever kind of.
And make the people love you because it's this beautiful place.
Look how cool he is, and all this stuff. So definitely, I could see a lot of the similarities in some of the NFT stuff with that aspect to the flex being real on some people.
Now that you're in the NFT game, what's your thoughts? Because I mean, man, a few months ago you were not in the game.
I don't even know if I'm still in the game or not per se yet. Like really? I'm in it in a way. Like I've done some of it and I know about it a little bit. This much. That's what I'm saying. So right. I don't want to act like, oh, I'm in it. But you don't think you're that 2-stripe white belt yet? Man,
an armbar.
I know enough to get myself in a lot of trouble. And so,
white belt.
But being a black belt, I understand that there is no 2-stripe white belt. There's only white belts. So,
yeah, it's true. It's true. There are people too, but yeah,
right. That's what I'm saying. You got a little idea, but it's just enough to get you jacked up, probably, if you're not careful. So I have
100%.
I have a couple apes. I have a couple crypto zombies. I actually have crypto zombie number 1, and I have a few of the PGF NFTs. So I'm only in the game with the homies. I'm not in the game with anybody else. So I guess that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not buying anything unless it's one of the homies stuff. And so with some of that stuff, it's going to be I was figuring out the process, seeing what it looks like, what it feels like to go through it and do it. And, who the people are that are in and around these things, at least, and what it looks like in the way that they're chatting to each other and the servers, the Discord stuff. I don't know anything about Discord really until now. And I'm starting to learn a little bit about it.
I like it.
Yeah, it's just still, it's a lot to keep up with.
Were you on AIM?
No, man, we didn't have the internet.
I guess, yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah. So
I was on none of that.
Not even when you got to college age? What was it? MySpace by then?
Yeah, I did some of that stuff, I guess. Like MySpace was the first time I guess I did any social
like online,
like real stuff. Like I guess there was other stuff before that, but like I never really had it. I can't remember what that was. some of those little chat rooms or whatever every once in a while, but nothing like, it was only at school. So it was never anything I was able to do and supposed to do. So that's what I'm saying. So like, I don't know, but I think that with some of these NFT projects, there is a lot of value being created for artists of all types. And the one thing is that with the PGF collection, for sure, this is a way for athletes, the grapplers, to also be paid, uh, like in perpetuity.
Yeah.
Once these cards are made, and this could be done in other things. So there, that's what I'm saying. There could be other projects that are just like this.
Yeah, it's a proof of
and
concept.
That's whatever. But with these, it's basically like when we were kids, the baseball cards, football cards, or whatever kind of deal. And I guess, there's different rarities that are attached with certain perks, that you can get if you're really interested in that. Like VIP seating at certain
Right.
events that only become with this, and then certain access to other things. And then once you if you get the full set of, like, that's what I mean. There's like a little gamification with his. And once it gets to a certain threshold of like people have bought in or whatever, like a 15% kickback goes to the entire roster.
Yeah.
And they'll get that spread out amongst them. Which is,
you're getting paid after the fact, after you competed.
Everybody's going to make about, if my math figures, it's going to be close to about what everybody averaged on the week that they worked for grappling, again, on the first payout.
Yeah.
And then if any of those guys are in the game, then we've already seen a few people pick up their own stuff and like lock it down and
full time.
And they're flipping them and they're holding them for their friends or whatever, because some people want to buy in and get like the full set or whatever. Because you remember, like, you used to get the full set, man. Got to get the whole set.
I think it's like prime collector, gold collector,
and elite.
Yeah.
And so the elite, that's the one that owns all the ultra rares. Well, there's only one ultra rare of each player. So that person's going to have to spend a lot of money to make that happen. But if they do, that'll help drive the market to kick back faster towards the athletes. And then that person also has a threshold that once it gets broken, they'll get a 2 Ethereum token kickback to whoever is the master collector or whatever that is termed. I can't remember the specifics. So it has a lot of like gamification in it with the PGF. And if the PGF continues for multiple seasons and multiple more years, the early adopters of this stuff are going to be the ones that really can gain a lot of value, because from what I understand, only the ones that are the VIPs right now are going to be the VIPs going forward.
Yeah.
Like, these are the only way that you'll be able to have certain access to PGF stuff going into the future. There'll be other sets, but none of them will include as much like exclusivity or rarity as this set does going forward. So
buying in
now with this season, if you believe in it and you think it's going to be a thing, is smart. And if you see any of these other guys that are in there that may end up doing something else, then maybe investing in them will be smart. Because if you think like, and I don't know, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if people think about this, but some people are putting a lot of money into the NFTs and stuff. So if you think that this person may grow into some big star of some sort, or at least have some celebrity later of some value, this early token or whatever it is that's attached with them could be very valuable one day.
Yeah.
It could be a one of one kind of situation where it's actually tracked through a computer system and then they're still getting paid, man. That person's still getting paid like 20 years from now if it's a thing, if it still works.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. We don't know enough yet to know. I think right now it's like the $50 Bitcoin, where everybody was telling people they're crazy and they'll never work or whatever. And it's boomed and bust enough now to where even if you did think that it was stupid or whatever, you'd have to be very wrong at this point to not have bought some at $50. You know what I mean? Like, and so that's kind of like, I think that's what's happening with this. I don't know enough to know. We've mentioned it before. I would only look at it for ourselves in a way that would be like utility based for me. I'm not so much into the art side of it
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
I think that I've had a couple of ideas since this come up though of art things that could be attached as the art that goes with whatever the things are that we sell, because we do have, like, I have paid for art of other sorts that could be one of ones or kind of cool stuff that I have that nobody else has.
And ways to kick things back to the artist, like even after the
That's
fact.
what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
so stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And then like it could go into the gym and there could be a fund and, you know, all this kind of things to help support scholarships or whatever
Right.
kind of stuff. Like there's a lot of ideas that are rattling around in my head, but right now we're just building out. And so I can't sit down and focus on
Oh, it
much of
takes 100% of your focus when you're doing that type of stuff.
So-
Because like you said, it's like the guy that wants to fight. It's like,
Mm.
oh, you want to fight, man, you could get hurt.
like day trading or whatever in
Right.
a way too, right? You know what I mean? It's
It's-
like you
yeah,
can do
yeah,
it
yeah.
and there's a lot of money to be made, but you could also lose it all in one
You
day.
could lose everything
in one trade even. So you got to be careful and make sure that it's stuff that you can afford to do and you're not gonna like lose yourself in this way.
And you and I are not accountants, and I got the grade to just pass accounting. So
Yeah.
this is not financial advice.
I have an accountant and it's the Works bookkeeping and accounting service. They're actually here in Warner Robins. I don't have Joe's number, but Joe and Sarah would be happy to work with you on your accounting needs as well. Just by the way,
just throwing that out there.
So don't trust me. Call my guy. I'll give you his number. That's what I'm saying, man. Like I'm quick to let people know when I'm not the one that should shoot. You know,
right.
I think I know this, but here, let me put you in touch with the guy that I think told me what this is, and he'll probably tell you that I was a little bit wrong.
Which that ties back into jujitsu too, of the fact that like my acknowledge or noticing when somebody is a great teacher, not just a good teacher, is when they're willing to go, you know what? Let me point you in the direction of the guy that's who you need to look at or ask. Like
the better like representation
instead of trying to just make it up.
Yeah, and sometimes like making it up is what you need to do because the question is kind of a made up question in a way, and then sometimes you know that it's just easier to like that's the thing. The general answer is one thing, and then like a very specific answer is one that you would need to find some scholarship about or whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. You know, what would I do right here? It's like, man, just don't do that. But I want to. It's like, well, then there you go. That's all you got to know. You just want to. That's an answer. Or the really like nuanced answer would be, don't do this because of 16 different bad things that could happen to you that I don't want to sit down and explain right now in the middle of class because that's not what this class is about today.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. You know what I mean? Sometimes
and the answers are infinite type thing.
That's what I mean. It's like, well, why can't I do this? It's like, then I walk around for like 3 minutes. And I think of it's like, well, because of this probably is the first thing I could think about. And then once I think of that, I think of 6 other reasons right away. Yeah. But it takes me like, I'm not the guy that's like immediately gonna, oh, it's that. It takes me a second to see it. And I have to like think about it a second. And I may even need to go try it once or twice to see what I feel and see if I feel what you feel or whatever.
Have you ever partnered up with somebody to do something and like this is like in your later part? So like where you know jujitsu and they start doing the move or doing something to you and they do it so wrong that you almost forget how to do jujitsu?
It's been a while, but yeah.
Like you're like for me, it's when I'm on like something a little new. So the person that's showing something is doing something that I'm not 100% familiar with. And then when they do it completely wrong, I'm like, oh, I don't even know how to do any of it.
So I guess the last time I kind of felt that way was probably at the Dream No-Gi camp in Costa Rica during Kyle's seminar.
Yeah.
Because he showed things that I definitely understood what he was doing.
The concept. Right. Yeah.
But in the way that he said it, I didn't want to walk around and try to act like I was saying what Kyle was saying to do because I didn't want to like confuse anybody with different language or because he's doing it a specific way for his game and stuff like that. And so I was like, I think, and then they had no clue though about
they're doing like they're exactly on the other side.
So like they were trying it on me, and I couldn't even figure out how to tell them to do it right from where they were wrong at or whatever. And so it's like it's just such a new, like you said, it's just such new information. And then for me being, I could do it, you know what I mean? And I understood it when I was seeing it and could like talk about doing it. And then so I had to like pull myself out of it and then get 2 of them to do it and like talk them through it and maybe grab their foot and move it or whatever, you know what I mean? To show where the momentum kind of lies and stuff like that. that's one of the things that I think about coaching. That's or teaching or whatever is the best part, or what makes you the best, is there is coming out to the middle of the room and giving the
Spiel.
instruction. And then when you see a group over there and they're struggling, or this person's struggling, or whatever, a little bit, going over and knowing how to pick it apart individually is what makes it special in a way, because the right student in that moment is going to be willing to try to work on it with you, and try to work through that process with you. And it may not be exact right away, you know what I mean, until you figure out their body, like where their elbow goes here and their knee goes here and then their foot goes here, which way
And
that
it's like,
looks.
oh, you can't fold your body that
Exactly.
way. All
Yeah.
right, let me think about
exactly. Let's stop here for a second. Oh, your elbow. Okay. All right. Cool. Let's think about it this way then, and see like stuff like that. That's when it starts getting really. I think that's where you find the guys that are doing a really, really, really good job, is when they can walk over to the individual group and modify without having to modify the whole room.
But they don't get sucked all the way into just that one group. They sit there and they do it for each group,
each individual.
Yeah, because I'll see too where the guy gets sucked into one group because they're so far off base, and then like
it happens
else
though,
gets.
but it happens.
Oh, I've gotten stuck on people,
and so that's the thing, is like sometimes if they're so far off and you get sucked into that group and you're trying to bring them to that first point, then that's important. But if they're out there getting you on tangents, that's when it's not good.
You've gone off the million different questions, and now you're like off in la la land trying to figure it out.
And sometimes I'll look around the room and I'll be like,
everybody else got it. Yeah.
This is the day we can do this though. And be like, hey, everybody come back in and let's talk about all this stuff right here really quick, because I think everybody here can handle these kind of questions without getting too confused. And then I can answer everybody. If anybody else ever has this question again, maybe they'll have this information going forward.
Right.
But in some settings,
it's like, I'm going to melt some brains.
Would be a massacre. You know what I mean? Because I know, man, I get super wordy when I'm trying to really explain something, because I know that I have to say it multiple different ways, multiple different times for some people. And then some people are ready to tune out right away at the first time that starts happening. And I try to caution people on that too, is like every time, and this is what Taylor's, if you've noticed or whatever, if people have been in the room, when Taylor asks these questions, this is what he does. He's paying so much attention from class to class. He'll notice like the different placement of my hand, or the way I put my knee this way or that way, or why did you do this instead of that this time, from class to class. And other people don't really think about that because I've already seen this.
Right.
And so I don't need to see it again. Well, it's like, well, you saw me when I was demoing it on Michael, and then now you seeing me demo it on Seth. Well, this will be me demoing it on Zach. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's going to be a little bit different maybe because of what he did.
Because every play is based off of what their play is.
So, and you'll see me stop sometimes, and I'll like, all right, you gotta give me a little bit of pressure, right? Or whatever.
What would you do here?
Yeah, and it's like, try to beat me, and then that way the people can see the response or whatever play out with a whatever consensual moment. It's like, here, just do your thing. Once I get to this position, he can do whatever he wants almost, and then I can take this.
Yep.
But if I'm not here, then this is bad for me, right? So we got to find this one, so that's the thing, is like, everybody's got to find that spot. But if his leg is 36 inches around and his leg is 20 inches around, then the staple is going to be a lot different. The hook's going to be a lot different. You know what I mean? Everything's going to be a lot different if he's got a big meaty arm versus little sharp, bony, slicey arms. You know what I mean? Or little short, stubby guys like me that don't have much neck versus a tall guy that's 200 pounds.
I might even take a certain option against you that tall guy would give all these options. Yeah.
Dude, I've had a match before, and the guy was not like, I didn't think he was that good. But it was the ADCC trials or whatever. So the rule set was in my head a little. It was my first one. So the 3 and 3 mattered. But man, I wanted to submit. It didn't really matter. Like, I wanted to submit the guy because that's what we've been talking about going into it, was getting submissions. And I got him down. I had gotten on a decent guillotine-ish from the front headlock kind of play. Didn't like the way it felt. went to his back, had his back, like tried to choke him quite a while, couldn't get his neck, like it was too thick. Like he was just so thick. And he was just defending out of it. And he got back up. And I think during one of those, I snapped him and I felt his knee buckle a little bit, or his leg buckled a little bit. And so I kind of hesitated, like, I'm nice still, you know, even though I'm out here trying to kill. I felt him give way in a way that wasn't
natural.
Right. It was like, oh, he's injured. Damn. You know?
Yeah.
And so I kind of asked if he was okay. And he was like, yeah, just keep going. And I was like, okay. And so then that's when I went to the truck and put him in the calf slicer on that leg.
Yep.
I tried to get things. I mean, I asked him if he was okay, and I couldn't submit his arms. I tried. I couldn't submit his neck. I had tried, and his leg was hurt. And it was, so I was like, well, this is what's going to be the weakest link right now.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. Like sometimes you just got to go for whatever is the easiest thing. And then in combat, a guy getting broken down a little bit is the easiest thing. If he hurts himself going hard and resisting against me, that's not my fault. You know what I mean? So the thing about not attacking somebody that's got an injury is chivalrous, but stupid in a lot of ways. Yeah. It's like, I appreciate the way you feel about that, but I'm taking it if I see the opportunity, because otherwise you're going to beat me and it's going to feel way worse to lose to a guy with one leg than it was with a guy with two good legs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'll say Kevin Primo has the greatest poker face of all time, because I grabbed that arm and hindsight, I did the same thing. I grabbed his arm to do the Udi to it, the one that was messed up. And when I grabbed it, I said, sorry, and didn't go for it. And he like swam through and then broke my neck. So love you, Primo. But yeah, and he said his arm was really messed up.
I thought it was too, man. Y'all all made me feel bad that week for talking trash. I knew. I was like, man, there's no way the way that it was that night when he was in, like, that's the thing, man.
Turns out the elbow genie can take your elbow.
Man,
and like, your soul.
But there's like, you can't recover from that in one day. No. Like that. And the fact that he came back and was able to even hold it together, that's what I was saying. Is like, yeah, man, all the respect and props in the world to that dude for being able to do that. But like, I thought that everybody should have attacked his arm. That's why I was saying what I was saying. Like, I thought that was what you were going to do. And I
did, but like, I didn't do it viciously, with intent.
No remorse. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, cause that's what he was doing to you. Yep. But that's the thing always.
It's the
right?
game.
It's like,
it's the game.
It's what we're doing.
It's what we're here for. I don't hate him at all for my neck. Like, it's like, no,
that's his opportunity.
That was
like,
where he was.
You made the mistake and let there, and he got you flat right there and had it. And so he cranked the crap out of it.
I thought I could slip out. Nope.
Yeah. Turns out not when he has the right grip.
Nope.
So you might need some frames, guys.
It turns out framing is important.
It could be important or not important. It's up to you to decide. Right. That's okay. That's what I'm saying.
I thought you said that this was a dual thing here, and I was like, no.
You can make it important or not. That's what I'm saying.
I got you.
Your style will definitely be one way or the other if you choose.
Is there a way to have a safe style without frames?
Safe.
I don't even know how. Now that I've pieced some of those things together, like how
it's all a scramble.
Yeah. Okay.
But you still have to use frames in your scrambles to get people off base and then knock them off you, and like to get. That's what I'm saying.
And then if the scramble ends and you're not on the top or not in the, you got to get out.
You got to do something.
Yeah.
And so you either got to be like a Marcus Elkins kind of play, but even him, I bet there's a weird. That thing is weird framing still, because that's like I spent.
Sheldon Albertson said, "Yeah, be a spectator."
I spent some time, I think I may have already mentioned it, but like trying to not use frames for a while in the way that like
be more flowy.
They weren't, exactly, like super fluid and not strength, because I was thinking that the frames were pretty strength reliant at that point. But I think I didn't understand frames at that point yet.
The angles.
Right. The way that I should use them, I didn't. And so taking them away, I started looking at it again, and I saw it in a different light.
Yeah.
I saw people doing it, and I was like, oh, that's what that is. It's not grabbing and pushing or grabbing and shoving and you know what I mean, like not shoving or straight
creating a
arms or
frame that they
whatever.
have to run into.
Right, something
Yeah.
that it's a block. You know,
Uh,
it's just like a dam in a way or whatever kind of, and it holds the pressure, and then hopefully you stop that pressure from crashing all into you. You know, but eventually, if I'm on top, that's what I do is I have to get through and smash through the dam or whatever and get to drowning you. That's the game. That's most of jiu-jitsu, I think. And if a person is really like, there's people that are really bendy and flexible and move in super weird ways. And so they don't use traditional frames, I guess you would say, as much, maybe. But you still have to frame out in a way on anything to make space or to create space or to take back, the space there has to be space.
When I was playing a game that was like really not like heavy reliant, like what you were talking about of the frames, I was playing more of the traditional where it felt like strength because I wasn't playing the angles right and whatnot.
Right.
And so I did the same thing of like, because I got really hot on you and I've talked about this a lot on like that Ghost Escape to the Taurus thing. And I was like, this is great. And then I found out that like without doing the other side, you can't be flowy and loopy and get through because I just get choked.
Right. They
get your arm above your head and they accept whatever loopy thing you do, and then here's an anaconda.
No, just north south with whatever arm above your head. Yeah, and that took a while to figure that out. Also, because I thought, well, like the underhook thing, the underhook myth or whatever,
right,
was the thing. You know, it was like you always got to have the underhook from right here when you do this, or
screwing the light bulge.
It's like all that stuff was like, if you don't have this, it's always going to be over and stuff like that. And so that was part of the thing I think about my frames that wasn't good, is that I just had such a good underhook game
that you leaned on just that. Yeah.
There's no reason to hold this weight. I'm just going to bump and underhook. And if I can get out, I'm getting out. And then my neck started getting older and worn out more. And everybody started pulling it once or twice harder. And it was like, maybe this underhook thing ain't the way to go as hard, and maybe I need to go back towards a safer
keeping them up
style. Yeah. And then when I started sticking that elbow back there, I was like, oh, well, the underhook's way deeper now when they commit to that.
So, and now you don't get choked because they're too far by. Yeah,
exactly. So that's the thing, is like, it's all full circle several times and comes back around. The lesson from before is the lesson for now. And hopefully you remembered it from the time before well enough that you can apply it when it's needed now, or you can remember it enough that when someone shows you now, you're like, oh, okay, I have seen this. All right, let me think about that again. And you already have this much knowledge on it, instead of like being completely like, what is he talking about? This guy's weird.
Well, I'd always heard like when Danaher came on the scene and like everybody was talking about it, there was a buddy of mine that I trained with that he was the first person that I had like watched and like trained with since he was like a white blue belt, or he was a blue belt when I met him. And like, as he was getting better and hit that purple belt and like made that brown belt transition, you couldn't pass his guard. It felt like it never ended. Like you were just constantly running into a wall somewhere. And I remember him talking about the whole wedges thing, and I didn't quite get and understand what he meant. And I think the first time it clicked was when we started talking about this. And then the following week when we saw Gio was talking about this whole butter half play and all this, and I was like, and then everything just like full. That's 10 years that it took me to make that full connection.
Well, yeah, because it takes that long.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, if you stay with it, at a certain point, you'll remember something that you forgot, or there'll be a lesson that you didn't know that you didn't know until now.
Right.
And then you'll wish you could go back to that purple belt dude and try to pass his guard now, or whatever, but it doesn't exist like that anymore. So it wouldn't be the same. It's like the man walking through the river thing. It's never the same man.
Right.
It's not the same river.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing with a guy's guard. If he's been on the grind, or so to say, for the last 10 years also,
have you experienced that? Have you come back across somebody that you like trained with or something back in the day that just used to wreck you or used to be, and then like now y'all are kind of on the same plane, or it's
not really, man.
Yeah.
I think most of that was the thing, was when I moved away the first time from the MMA team. I only had trained with a few of those guys again after that, and most of those guys uh, were smaller guys when we were training, and so now there wouldn't be a thing
I got you.
with needing to know because maybe I could, but then it would also be like, yeah, but you're also 80 pounds heavier than him anyway. So even though you are better, and you know what I mean, it's they were just way better than me then. Period. It didn't matter.
I got
whatever.
You.
But I don't think there's ever been a person that was like and not in a negative way, but like a nemesis.
That's what I'm saying. Like your gym, like
whatever.
Your gym partner that just wrecks you all the time.
No, not that I've ever been able to come back with and get back with in a real way, I guess. Because I was pretty good with everybody most of the time, and there wasn't enough higher belts around all the time to constantly be that guy for me, you know. So it was either the random good black belt that would come through, or the coach, you know, who was smaller or whatever kind of deal. But I guess there was a couple guys that came through a few times, but I can't really remember anybody that was like a guy that I was just like, yes, I'm so glad that I finally got to roll with him again to prove how good I was or whatever. Again, I don't think I've had that opportunity, and I don't know if I need it now, but there were some guys for sure in MMA, definitely, that at a certain point I was like, oh, I hope that guy comes around again someday, because I know now what I didn't know then.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying is like, you don't know that lesson, but then all of a sudden you learn something else, and it's like, this is what that guy was doing to me.
I wish I had known then.
This is that thing, and I didn't know it, and nobody told me, and he beat me up for 6 months. And then I finally just figured out how to get around it or whatever. But had I known this, I could have avoided all of that. Because my answer was probably just to double down and be tougher
and just be harder. Yeah. Just
like,
go harder.
Get through it, and then beat his ass for it. Was kind of my answer. And so then that's what I'm saying. Like, smarter, not harder, man. Like I've tried to be that way, because I've always relied on being tougher than everybody. I always knew that. Like that was the thing. Is like going into anything. Like, yeah, but no matter what, nobody's gonna be tougher.
Yeah.
No matter what, this guy's not gonna have as much heart. No matter what, he's not gonna be in as good shape. No matter what, none of that ever factors in. You know what I mean? So worst case scenario, I just get beat up or whatever kind of deal.
And then we just like, I lost the game.
Yeah.
I didn't lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just that thing over and over and over again, making the walks, being excited to be here. I seen some other stuff, I guess, just to pivot. There was a big tournament this last weekend. I can't remember the name of what the Battle of the Beasts, I think, is what they called it in South Carolina. Is that the one? The one, the $5,000 prize tournament.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, man. The
Mid-South alum.
Yeah, Ryan Eakin. He took the cash prize home. They had some big names flew in.
Did you see his Instagram story afterwards about like his mentality going in and whatnot?
I didn't see that.
That was really interesting. I didn't know. So who's the guy that he beat in the finals?
Was that Braylor Grout? I think.
Maybe.
I think that was Keenan's. One of Keenan's top brown belts.
Yeah, there was somebody in there that he had trained with a while back, and he was like, I had to get over the nerves of like, it's right in line with what we're talking about. Of like, he used to beat me up in the gym all the time, and it's like, but I've been training with this new guy, and like I've been, doing well, and so like apparently like he had to go through that whole thing, and I mean we're talking about a guy that's already proven that he's a bad dude. Mm-hmm. Like he's
that matters, right? That stuff matters a lot. I didn't notice that. No, I didn't see that part.
But it's like George St. Pierre talking about like, or people talking about George being in the back freaking out before he goes into it. Like one of the greats, one of the goats. Like it's still that's part of it.
But see, I think that's it. I think that's what makes guys like us get to what we are. Is that feeling must be extinguished one way or the other. It's got to be put out, and I either got to put it out by walking out there and doing it, or somebody's got to put me out, period. You know what I mean? But and so the only way I can live with myself is to go out there and face that fear, to face that insecurity, because that's what it was, of what people may think, or what I may think, or what may happen to me if I, all those kind of the normal human like fears that you have are amplified so much when you're about to go fight. I think for any man or person in that way, it's just like a normal primal thing. Like a lot of us were taught to hang our hat and our pride and our shame and everything on how well we could fight and if we could beat people up or not as kids and little boys and all that kind of stuff. The pecking order gets established, and it used to get established pretty early and pretty ruthlessly, you know, without any like remorse for how kids felt. And if the non-athletic kids were getting stuffed at the bottom, that was just kind of the way it went, you know, and you know, people talked about bullying, but nobody really cared, you know. And so that's where a lot of us came from. And so we were constantly fighting that thing more or less the entire time.
Yeah.
And then never being able to really conquer it is trippy. And that realization that that's what it is, though, is like, you're never going to beat this. This is what
you're always going to be scared to some extent.
This
like,
is it.
It's scary.
This is it. Just like it. That's the thing.
We're hurtling through space on a wet, moldy rock.
You don't control. You don't have control. There's no way to control every variable. There's too many variables. Anything can happen. You still have to go. You still have to go. And then again, for me, nobody's going to be tougher. Nobody's going to work harder. Nobody's going to have more heart. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to have better intentions than me, period, when I go out there and do it, period. They may beat me, but they're going to have to. Like, they're going to have to be better. And hopefully I don't make a mistake to let them beat me. But it can happen, right? That's the human model. We make mistakes and people or things happen that set us back. You can say whatever, let people get ahead of you or however you look at it. But like, you shoot yourself in the foot, you take a few steps back all of a sudden, you know, and then you're back, way back all of a sudden.
So in that sense, like what pushes you out, like to the walk? Like what like everybody has that freak out. Everybody's like, oh, I'm going to lose or I'm not.
Oh, dude, I'm still, that's what I'm saying. It's still the same thing. That's what I know now. I'm super insecure. I'm super insecure. My past, growing up the way we did, poor, not having anything, and always looking for an opportunity to be welcomed and appreciated and loved and accepted in the greater good of the peer group and different things like that. And then wanting to be able to provide for people and to provide people an opportunity to see their value in a way that I think I wasn't allowed to, not because maybe people held me back or anything, but just because I didn't know how to, or that I could even have that expression and stuff. So that's the thing for me now, like the path. I want to make this thing, I want to make it work, you know, and I think it's because I've really put a lot of it's my personal philosophy, like my human, for whatever you would say, like who I am, my character, everything is kind of tied into this thing. And it's not an act. It's not, it's, you know what I mean? This is who I am. It's real every day. And these are my real thoughts and my real fears a lot of times that I have that I bring to the table for people. And it's just a real existence. And I want everybody to know that's okay too. You know, maybe yours was better or worse than mine, because I know a lot of people were way worse than mine, for sure, way worse. And then there's some people who had it way better in some ways, but still didn't have it good in other ways. So they still need an opportunity to be able to express whatever that thing is that they have. You know what I mean?
Well, like, so what's really crazy to me is like, because the like journey that I've had is I used to kind of kick myself for how things went or like how I've done like certain things. And, you know, like looking back, hindsight 50-50, right? And the whole thing is that like I've looked at guys that ended up around me where I am now, and like if you're walking the journey for the reasons that like we talk about, like sometimes no matter how you get there, you end up getting to a very similar spot. Like you're gonna, as long as you're moving forward, you're moving to something.
And that's the thing, is like that's the whatever that is, the secret or whatever people say, the manifestation,
right,
is like you manifest it by living it every day,
in your
in your thoughts, the way you think about it. You start to cultivate that life in front of you, even in spite or despite the people around you. You start replacing the people and things around you if you need to make that part of your vision a reality.
And it can do negative too. Like if that's all you focus on, that's where you end up.
And that's what I mean. And sometimes you get exactly what you wanted, and it's not what you thought. and then that's a problem for people. But you've already done it now. This is what you've manifested for yourself, and now you've got to deal with that, or you've got to completely be ready to change and tell everybody you're gone and I'm not this person and it's over now. And like some people are very strong and brave enough to do that kind of stuff, and some people aren't.
Yeah.
Um, I want to live this life the way that I want to live it. I want to be proud of myself for the things I do as often as I can. I just want to be proud of myself, man. And I don't know how else to say that. And I don't know if there's enough money that would do it. I don't know, like obviously there's not enough winning that would do it all the time. Like, so that's what I'm saying. It's not one thing that's going to do it, but I just want to be in as many opportunities that I can be proud of myself as possible, because then that means I'm staying in my character and my personal like beliefs as much as I can.
You can sleep at night.
Basically. Right. I don't want to have any of those kind of things. So
that was a shout out.
That's what drives me.
That was a callback. The hindsight 50-50, by the way, Mom.
Oh yeah, sorry I missed that.
She was like, I think hindsight's 20-20, not 50-50. And I was like, that was a callback to a joke the other day.
But hindsight is 50-50 sometimes too, right? You look back and you like half of those decisions were not good and half of them were.
Oh man,
but
I like how
now you're here, right? Like that's what I'm saying. Is like, but now you're here, and like some of the things that we've done in our past that we may not be most proud of, you can't take away. And if you erase that part of who you are, then you won't be who you are anymore. That was the catalyst for a lot of us that pushed us to that next level, was that thing that we weren't proud of in some way. So I think that you can't extract that thing from a person, and it's just who they are. You know what I mean? And that's what triggers you to be who you are. And you can't go back and change that, because if you did, I mean, it's the butterfly effect thing, I think. And what would that mean for you if that one traumatizing experience you had when you were 10 or whatever didn't happen? Well, you can't say what all else would happen, because everything after that would have been saw through a different lens.
Yeah.
And so it wouldn't be the same experience at all.
Well, and how many people do you know that are the world champions or like at the top of the level, and they got all the money, they got all the success, everything that everybody thinks they want, and they're miserable.
Right. And that's the thing, is it's not the stuff. The stuff can help. Stuff gives you stuff to do. But it's nice to have things. But yeah, exactly. Why do you have the things? What are they for? What do they do? And if they're enriching people's lives and existence and things like that, then cool. Even if it is a little frivolous or whatever, then fine.
Yeah. I'm not talking about the frivolous.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, either. I want to make that clear. It's like, if you want to ball out of control, go for it, man. Like, do your thing.
But why are you?
Like, just know that this is who you are and this is what you want to be. And if that is true, then fine, go for it. And just do that for yourself and for your people, because there's a segment of people that need that. They need that person to give them that like thing.
Well, it's like I've seen a lot of memes of like, I mean, in the hot topic of like John Jones is like, he's at the top. Why do you keep messing yourself up that way? Like, why do you get to that point? Why does Conor McGregor go out and like make it to the point that you're trying to, and then you just like stick in your front tire of your bike? Like, why do guys do that? Or anybody, ladies, anybody.
People in general do stuff.
When they get to the top, like they don't get what they thought they were going to get.
Well, there is no top. That's what I'm saying.
There
is no top. There's just other like peaks and valleys.
There's just the next thing.
Because as soon as you get to the top of one thing, then what's next? Like the top of that is it. That's it. You've already done that. And so that gets boring. And then you need something else to get that excitement up. That's what I mean. It's like you keep chasing stuff or something. What is that thing? What are you chasing? And usually it's love and acceptance for most people is what they're chasing. And they can't label it that way, because then that would look silly or whatever kind of stuff. But that's why they buy. That's why they consume. That's why they front. That's why they go out and do the things they do a lot of times. We all want to just be loved and accepted. We want to be part of a tribe. We want to be part of a community of people that love us, that are like-minded individuals that are working towards a common goal. Like, that's the human existence. That's what it's supposed to be. But now everybody's disconnected, and we're not really like working in these tribal groups towards our like home, so to say. Everybody's got to do for self. And like, I got to get mine for me and my family, because then if we don't have it, then, what are we going to do kind of deal, instead of looking at, the abundance of everything, and then the lack is created from our desire to just want more that will never be satiated as a human. Like you always have that desire for more, and that's how we got here, and that's what's going to end us. Is that same greed and same kind of stuff is going to just going to strip us all, and it may not be in our generation or the next. Even that's what I'm saying. It's just the history of mankind. If you look back through any of the civilizations that we can find records of, it all kind of shows the same cycles of
Peaks
lack.
and valleys.
Yeah, it's lack, and then there's abundance, and then through the abundance, people get crazy and start doing stuff wrong in a way, and then that affects everything else.
They
over
get
time.
comfortable.
Yeah, and it affects everything slowly over time. Infrastructure falls apart, whatever. And there you go. It's over. One war or whatever, burn one library, you lose half your knowledge, stuff like that. We in this world think we have everything figured out. We think right now with all the stuff that we have, everything's safe and secure, and we got all this information. Not really. One electronic pulse shuts down all the stuff that we use to pull up all of our data that we have saved into the clouds and different things like that. And so it's just gone. What if they already had the cloud? What if the pyramids were like set up with infrastructure that set data up into the cloud? And then somehow with whatever kind of technology, now it's gone because they lost touch with it somehow.
So speaking of aliens, I was listening to a podcast and so
I'm not even saying aliens, right? But that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
like,
any technology. I mean, maybe we
just
are
technology in general.
Yeah. But like one of the things they were talking about is like, so what if aliens are communicating with us? How would they communicate with us? And they were like, look through history, and there's different things that people believed in, for centuries or whatever. It was different religions, different gods, different like things like that. Now it's science. Now it's like believing science and having all that. And it's gone through those different cycles and whatnot. And it's like, if you were an alien, how would you present yourself to a bunch of monkeys? Well, then if you go through history and look at the different evolutions of our thought and how we try to like understand the world around us, it's viable that they've been communicating the whole time.
Yeah, I guess in that way, there's some possibility of that thing being something, because this, like I say, there's been several great civilizations that have popped up over time that are now buried and being found in different things that we don't understand. And it's like, oh, well, everything that we thought about stuff has been.
They thought they were going to sell off the edge of the earth
wrong
at one point if they just sailed in one direction.
Yeah, and then now we think we know everything about that part of everything. I don't know, man. That's to say, I don't know. I don't know what makes stuff get to that tipping point on one way or the other, but it's really, really interesting to think about that, like over time. What was the cause of each like turn? And a lot of times, it's getting disconnected from each other and people getting like greedy and wanting something that somebody else has, and so then they take it, and then
like envy and greed
type, yeah. And then usually the people who just got conquered or whatever, they left the land that they were in and they went to somewhere else. And so now, even if they weren't like fighting, they invaded somebody else's land and started like inner culture, conflicts or not, or whatever, but started changing the culture of that area. And either through like, breeding, I guess, for lack of a better term, with the population, and over like populating with their kind of people, they would just kind of slowly change the population in a certain area. And then the original group would move over to there, and then they'd be warring with the next group, and then they'd butt up against somebody else.
Or they get mad that those people came in and changed their culture
the other
and
way,
kick them out.
And they go back in. But then it would still be another like mixed group. It would be like, well, this group that came in mixed with them, and then this group left and mixed with another group. And so then there's like this group here that's kind of from over here mostly, but then they're all kind of like this tribe, and then they fight them and send them back out.
Then there was Genghis Khan out there that like,
just dropping dimes all over the place.
dude seeded half the globe.
I mean, that's a way to do it too, right? It's really, really interesting. I've been into a lot of the like ancient history stuff in the last several months, kind of listening to a lot of Audible books on different cultures and the rise and falls of different civilizations around the world and stuff. So it's been really interesting. And we kind of spurned off on some stuff because we were talking about pyramids and different things like that. And then how many pyramid structures there are around the world throughout history. And, it's because it's the best base, like for jiu-jitsu, we were talking, that's what we talked about,
Boom.
how the pyramid was like, that your base should be a pyramid, not a triangle. And everybody thinks it's like a triangle. And I was like, no, it's not a triangle. It's a pyramid, but you can't really, it's hard to represent that in the 2D kind of shape.
Because it's happening, because what we're describing is happening in a 3D space.
Right. And so that was why people try to represent it with a triangle, but then that confused people because people were thinking like a leg triangle or whatever, because it was the only triangle they were familiar with, kind of. But it really wasn't. That's not what it was supposed to represent. It was supposed to represent the pyramid.
Yeah.
And the pyramids, like we just kind of, like I said, the aliens thing came out one day because we were talking, and I just listened to this thing about a string of pyramids that we had not known about all over the place. So, yeah, man, just keep studying stuff, man. And you'll find that, like, if it's true, it's true. And it's been true before, and it's been made up probably and then covered up, and then people didn't know because there was some other way that it was done. But efficiency doesn't always win. Sometimes like good technology gets buried by just dummies with power. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it just happens sometimes. Like things, it's not necessarily even like,
because it doesn't confirm whatever they need to be true.
And it's not even nefarious necessarily always. It's just like, well, we don't use this, and so they just
we want to be right.
Lost over time. Yeah. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff like that throughout history that's in there, and I think that the martial arts prove all of that over and over again. And most of the culture of the world is through a martial culture a lot of times, because of the fact that the conquering and reconquering of things, you had to have a defense system. And until they had guns, it was,
you had to fight
sticks and arrows and knives or whatever. And until before that,
they had swords.
Well, yeah, I guess before sword, like that's what I mean. Like, and even then though, you still had to run up and fight.
Oh yeah.
Like that's what I mean. It's like you still had to get up, and that's what martial arts was. It wasn't staying back hundreds of yards away, shooting at each other and stuff like that. It's like, even then, that's why there's different martial arts, is because this is for when people come and fight with swords, and this is when they come and fight you with the long stick, and this is when they come and fight you with.
And that's where some of the like quote unquote like fake martial arts is like, well, it's fake, but like if you go back to the root of it, it was because you had a sword in your hand and he had a sword in his hand, and so like we're not fighting with a sword anymore, so it looks weird, but yeah.
Right, exactly. So I think that's where a lot of people get confused on certain styles and why this looks kind of silly and you would never use that today, because you don't need to. Like, there's no reason to.
If someone's attacking you with a sword, you're probably in Florida.
Yeah. I'm carrying my sword with me right now at all times. I got it on me.
Got that Naga sword.
Yeah, my boy Jared got me one of the Kill Bill swords.
Oh wait, you got like a sword.
Yeah.
Like, wait, is it like a Kill Bill? Like, wait, like the samurai sword?
Yeah,
she used.
So run up and get done up. That's all I'm saying.
Somebody get cut in half. Somebody. Oh yeah, that's a call back to earlier in the show. Another part of RC's functional art is he's gotten into swords recently. Like he was just handing me knives and swords and like showing me stuff.
Just making like blades.
Yeah, just buying weird ones and sharpening them beyond like shaving sharp, and then just having them in different scenarios.
Nice.
They're super dope.
What time is it?
I think we've been in here for an hour and 15. So
all right. I think I'm gonna call it a day because we got too much construction stuff's going on. So is there anything you want to plug or talk about or whatever for you dude, the one thing we were going to talk about, PGF first qualifier for the 155 season and the women's 135 season is this Saturday in Decatur. The only way to get into the season, if you want to get in, is through one of the qualifiers. So you got to show up and be seen. Even if you go get beat up, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get in. But if you go get beat up, that may mean that you don't want to get in. I don't know what kind of person you are. But this is an opportunity to come find out. Right. If you want to come see where you're at in the world, there'll be some leveled guys from all around. You may pick off a couple people and feel
there's
good.
Some high level dudes.
There's going to be, that's what I'm saying. There's going to be a mix of different things coming in. And then for the ladies, also an opportunity to come out there and get really known and get your self established on the scene out here, because I think the PGF fans are some of the most like true grappling fans that I've seen, like to a
Dedicated.
promotion and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Like there's each one has its own, but definitely the PGF fans are really, really rabid about their people and stuff like that. So,
And you'll learn something about yourself.
yeah, and you can get paid. It's professional grappling. So get in there. You get some money off these NFTs, David.
Here,
Get in there and get them.
Here, Bobby, both of them announce your name.
Man, that was such a trip reading the back of that card or whatever and the stuff like that.
The birth of Bobby, both of them.
Man, it's so much fun just being silly and having a good time with your friends, man. That's what it's mostly about. And if you take the competition too seriously, you're not going to enjoy it. So there's that. But I implore everyone to come compete if you're interested at all in that kind of stuff. So thank you, Isaac, Parkway Automotive Studios. Did you want to say anything? I cut you off because I said that.
I was gonna say one thing. I guess I got t-shirts available at theoneandgrappler.com.
You got those.
Cool.
Those ones he's wearing.
This one.
Right.
Yes.
So get it. Help the man out.
You're gonna want them.
He's a rambling man.
You're gonna want the t-shirts because there's cool stuff coming out with that project.
There's a lot of cool stuff coming out with a lot of different projects, man. We're working really hard in the space, doing a bunch of different things, which is fun. So stick with us. Tune in next week, 10-ish on Wednesdays. Also, call Buddy, 678-226-1994. It's the Musco Trial Firm. Much love. Peace.